You guys have watched the pilot of Hasbin, right? So that jambalaya line at the end, complete improv. Basically what happened is Viv, when we got to the very end of the script, said, hey, we're going to be panning out from the hotel. Could you just say something as we're like fading out and zoom up into the sign? And I said, yeah, sure. And that jambalaya line came out of my mouth.
All right, without further ado, everyone give a big round of applause for Ed Bosco.
What's up, guys?
Get your steps and exercise in.
Always. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, it's a Sunday. Y'all got to do better than that. Hi. There we go. Better.
Much better.
We need to get coffee in here ASAP.
Yes, like an intravenous drip of coffee. That would be awesome. So I'm Kyle the Moderator. Kyle the Moderator, yes, that is my official title. And you notice the voice actor drops the microphone. So,
It's true. But this is durable. I like this one.
yeah, just don't bang it too much, or else there's a guy out there who is going to come in here and you won't be so durable.
That's true. Yeah, fair.
But I'm going to ask a couple starter questions, but there's nothing better than questions from you guys. So after that, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come around like Donahue. If you know who Donahue is, then you're old like me. But I do have a couple questions. Now, first of all, how are you doing? How are you enjoying the con?
This has been a blast. It's my first time actually being in Connecticut. So it's like the drive-through state. So I've been through here plenty of times. But this is my first time staying. And I love this. I love the venue. You guys have been great. I'm hoping to come out here again.
Well, Connecticut is like the best state. I was born here.
I don't know about that, but...
It is the best state. You just don't know it yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Take my word for it.
Right.
It is the best state.
Chicago would debate that, but that's okay.
Of course, there's like taxes and stuff. We won't
You mean
talk
all
about
the things that would make it not the best state?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
But we
Funny.
just ignore that stuff and move from there. So you've worked on Hazbin Hotel. You've worked on Helluva Boss.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of those things. And those basically started out as independent animators. Do you think that's the future? A lot of independent
I think it's
animators?
the present and the future. I think it's already here. So you look at shows like Digital Circus, Lackadaisy, Hasbin, Helluva Boss. Those are all independent projects. Hasbin was lucky enough to get picked up by Prime, but the rest of them are all done on YouTube by indie animation teams. And I think it's really cool because a lot of times when you sign with a studio or you have somebody overseeing you, they get a bunch of input because they put all the money up. When you're able to have creative control, I think that's why you see some of these shows blowing up, because it's the vision of the creators and it's what they want it to be start to finish. And they're able to make sure that it doesn't get changed in the process of, the studio doesn't really like that, so we're going to have to change that. They kind of get to do what they want, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Creative, I would say studios meddle way too much. But you've also played a number of other characters. Which ones are going to hell?
Of all my characters, which ones are going to hell?
Yes. Which of your other characters are going to hell?
I play the Marauder and the Icon of Sin in Doom, so they're already in hell, so that's easy. There's the Jailer is also basically the devil, so I play a lot of demons, devils, and the actual devil, so I feel like most of my characters start in hell.
Okay, so they don't have to go there.
They don't have to go. They just run the place. Yeah.
Yeah, very short commute. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But of your other characters, which ones do you think that Blitzo would hire?
Who would have Blitzo hire? Blitz would probably hire a guy like Ed from Street Fighter, who's a little bit of a mercenary and a rebel, if Ed didn't kick his face off, because they probably fight a lot. Somebody I play in that show, I would love to see Blitz and Stryker actually work together in that show. That'd be really interesting. Otherwise, I just want to kill that little imp bastard. Who else would Blitz hire of my characters? That's a good question. I don't know. I have to think about it.
All right. Well, we will expect a full written report.
I got you. TSA reports on a Sunday? Oh, boy.
All right. Any of you guys have questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll start talking to him about Transformers, and we will not
That's true.
stop.
Yeah, you don't want to get bored by the nerd talk.
Yeah.
So put your hand in the air if you have a question. You can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be voiceover related. Yeah.
All right. We have a question. I'm going to bring out the mic because we're recording this, and you will be
We're recording this.
Yes. So
I'm in
anything
trouble.
you say will be used against you.
Oh, that's right. I say way worse on my streams.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Hi. So when you were making the pilot or working on the pilot, were you at all like thinking you would go forward with the role, or did you kind of think, oh, well, like I'm not sure if this would like go forward? Did you know that like someone else was going to be doing it for the main show? Nope. And then I guess related to that, did you work at all on the other Hasbin show, or would you have if you had the opportunity?
Would I have? Yes. Did I want to be Alastor? Absolutely. It just, it wasn't in the cards. They decided to go in a different direction, and that's kind of Hollywood. So I was lucky enough to stick around on Helluva Boss with Stryker, which was great. So I still get to be a part of the franchise. But if they called me tomorrow and were like, hey, we want you in Hasbin, I would say yes. And I want to work on it. I want to be a part of it. And I want the crossover where Stryker fights Alastor.
Absolutely.
Because that would be so funny.
One last question would be, if you could play anyone in Hasbin other than Alastor, who would it be?
Oh, well, that's cheating. Anyone?
Yeah.
Lucifer.
I can see that. Yeah,
he's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. We have another question over here.
Hey. All right, now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas.
I'm going to get my steps in.
Hello.
Is your favorite color blue?
It is. How did you know?
Your shirt color.
That was the giveaway, but mine's, it's like a navy blue. It's much darker. But yes, my favorite color is blue. Good guess, though.
All right. Any other color, number, questions about his work?
Wait, nobody told me math was going to be involved. Don't start promising numbers. Wait a second.
If
Hello?
your career was a color, what color would it be?
Blue. Or red. It could definitely be red, because I'm pissed off a lot, and I like the Bulls. And my character's in hell, so red definitely works. It's like a red, if I was dead in hell, like a redemption story, like that kind of a thing. You could call it like Red Dead Redemption. Kind of a... One person laughed. I appreciate it. It was a tie-in because they're all here. I tried. I appreciate the quiet laugh.
They laugh internally.
Exactly.
If you were a vending machine, what would you dispense?
Candy bars. Because I want to eat them, but I can't because I'm trying to be good about it.
I understand. All right, other questions?
Ooh, wait, could I dispense talent?
You could.
Let's do it. Bet.
All right.
I would dispense talent because a lot of people need it. Or common sense. That's even better. I would dispense common sense.
Common sense.
Common sense.
Well, yes.
Unless you pick A4, don't pick that.
Empathy.
Empathy, yeah, there you go.
Good one.
That'd be a good one.
All right, so I want to know a bit about how it is voice acting for these musicals, because they're not just normal shows. There's a lot of singing involved.
Yeah, so I can actually speak to that because while I didn't get a chance to sing as Alastor or Stryker in the actual shows, I did do songs as them, but I'm working on a video game called Billy Bust Up. And if you guys have heard about that, it is a platformer RPG with music elements, so I have to sing in that. And normally what happens is they will have you record the songs separately on a different day than the actual session where you're doing the lines. So I had an actual recording music session for those games for multiple of the songs that are going to be in that game. And it was a lot of work. They sent me the backtrack. Gabriel Brown, who you guys know as Black Griffin, he did the backing track, so I had like a guide of what they wanted. And then it was just a matter of learning it and trying not to suck. But yeah, it's typically like a whole process of just doing the song. Sometimes when you're doing animation, they'll do it as part of the session. But especially when the song is pretty hard and difficult and you haven't learned it, not a lot of people can just sight read music and know exactly what they're supposed to do. So having a little bit of time to learn the song is good. And if they give you that time, you better learn it. You don't want to be the guy who shows up and it's like, I don't know the notes. Let's just figure it out. It doesn't end well.
All right, we have another question back here.
Nice. Hello, sir.
If you can play any character in Helluva Boss, which one would that be?
Anyone in Helluva? Probably Fizzerali. As much as I want to kill that little, you know what? I can't curse. It's the middle of the afternoon. This is hard.
No, you can curse. We're in Connecticut.
Thank you.
That's part of Connecticut.
All right. But there's a child in the 4th row.
As a voice actor, being for an animated show, is it difficult to try and put your concept into like how the animated character is going to be? Since obviously you're not really acting them out, they're animated. So is it hard to do the voice not being the actual character?
Not at all. In fact, you get to do more cool stuff because I can play anything. I can be an imp. I can be a radio demon. I can be a normal dude on the street. Because it's animated, I think it gives you the freedom to try a lot of really cool stuff. And you're not limited by how you look. It's all about what you can portray believably. So I would argue that it's actually more freeing than if I was doing it in front of a camera, because there's only so many things you can do with a face that's made for radio. Whereas in voiceover, I can do literally whatever I want as long as I can portray it believably and you guys can believe the performance. So I think it's the exact opposite.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So what elements do you take into consideration when you're coming up? They're like, we need a voice for X. And sometimes those elements are quite secretive. Mm-hmm. Does that make it a lot harder when you're not actually able to see a picture? It's like, oh, this kind of character.
Mm-hmm. If they don't give you anything, it becomes extremely hard because then you basically have to make it up in your head and you have no idea if you're going to be close. But the big thing is just making a choice and sticking to it. So if they give you a picture, awesome. When I was auditioning for Hasbin and Helluva, I didn't know what Alastor looked like, but I knew what Stryker looked like, and I knew what he sounded like. And Stryker was actually supposed to be a voice match. So sometimes they'll tell you, hey, we want you to sound like Norman Reedus, because that's who did the character first. We want you to imitate that. And I initially booked trying to do Norman Reedus. And then when we got in the session, what'll often happen is, so we love what you did. We're going to do something different. Okay. So we turned up the accent, we changed the voice a little bit, and if you notice, some people are like, you sound just like Norman Reedus, and I'm like, I don't. We intentionally tried to do our own thing. There's elements of what he did in there, but it changed in the session because we wanted to make it unique and sound like he was a Western cowboy who is awesome and cool, and you should totally come see the pictures I have of him. But for a character with no artwork and no background, and they're just like, hey, we want 40s deep gruff, then it's really up to you to kind of flush it out and figure something out. And sometimes it feels like just throwing darts at a dartboard, but you just have to commit to the dart that you're going to throw and then throw it. And that's the biggest thing. You don't want to be in between, like, oh, I think he might be this and he might be that, and then you kind of split the difference. You just pick something and go for it. Strong acting choices will always stand out. And if you're not right for that, there might be something else in that project that you are right for.
Very cool. And can you give us a little Norman Reedus? Can you do a Norman Reedus impression?
Where's my daggone baby? Dead Rising.
Acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was the hardest to voice or the most annoying to voice?
The hardest or the most annoying? In terms of being a throat ripper, there was a character called Warwolf that I did for Marvel. It was in Hulk Where Monsters Dwell. All growls, snarls, deep, kind of a douche. It was actually, I was very suited for the role. But just because there was a lot of creature noises, that was very demanding. Charizard in Pokemon is very demanding because it's mostly creature stuff. But I never do a voice or a sound that I can't sustain for 2 to 4 hours on end, because minimum 2 hours is what they're going to expect of you. And sometimes they're going to ask you for 4. So anything that you do, you should be able to do for a minimum of 2 hours.
All right. Pardon me.
I will say the most annoying sound that I do is for a character called Wattrel. He's like a high-pitched, squeaky bird. And I feel like if it wasn't on a Pokemon, people would be like, I hate that noise. Why would you ever screech like that? I'm like, because bird.
Wait, are you Wattrel in the Pokemon anime?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Horizons, go watch it. It's awesome.
That's not what I was going to ask, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, I've always been an amateur voice actor. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like a hobby of mine. But so I'm always curious, did you grow up wanting to do voice or wanting to do acting? And if not, then what were you interested in doing? And where's alternate universe Ed Bosco now?
He's a play-by-play announcer for the Chicago Bulls. I'm a huge sports fan. I love wrestling. I would be doing play-by-play for something like that, whether it was WWE or in the NBA, but that was what I wanted to do, was be a broadcaster. So my background was in radio, which is why Alastor is so near and dear to my heart. I had a radio show in college. I was on the TV station at college. I was a news anchor, and it was a lot of fun. And in an alternate universe, that's what I'm doing.
All right. More questions?
In the hat.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you so much for running around. I appreciate it.
I need the exercise.
So I'm curious, for the War for Cybertron show, you played Soundwave and Ultra Magnus. Could you explain what your thought process was playing, an Autobot and Decepticon in the same show?
Yeah, so Ultra Magnus I was excited about because it was very different from the Jack Angel was it Jack Angel who did him in G1? I think it was, right?
But it was Robert Stack in the movie.
It was Robert Stack in the movie, yeah. So I saw the way that he was written, and they did this kind of Trinity thing where Ultra Magnus was like the link between Optimus and Megatron. They were like three brothers who were like, we take this oath, we're going to make sure that Cybertron is Prosperitus, and then when Megatron starts to go off the deep end, Magnus is the one talking to Prime about, hey, we need to go talk to him, we need to reach out the hand and figure out a way to come together. It felt like he had a much stronger role to those two main characters, so I really liked the way that they portrayed him. And I could tell by the tone of the show, they were not going for the more G1 sound. When I got in there, I auditioned for Soundwave, but I didn't know I got him until I was in the booth. And the first question I asked was, are we doing the Frank Welker or are we doing something different? And they were like, no, we don't want you to sound like Frank, which I was like, thank goodness, because I'm not going to do it as good. Awesome. So we just tried to make him sound as inhuman as possible, like very robotic and staccato, because he's all about logic and thinking everything through. So hearing the almost mechanical process to his thoughts come out in his speech, I thought was really important, which is why, even with the filters on there, he's got that kind of like very staccato way of speaking, because we basically had to invent that from scratch on the fly. And I had done some robot voices before, so I had like a Rolodex of stuff that I could go through. And it was about finding out what the producers and the director wanted, and that's what we settled on. Yeah.
Is there a chance you could show us what Soundwave sounded like without the filter?
Yeah. So Soundwave without the filter was very deep and staccato. The Autobots are advancing. And it almost sounded like it was supposed to be like an AI putting out words like that. Because again, the less human and the more different than the other Decepticons and even the Autobots that he could sound, the more I thought he was going to stand out. And I've always, in every show that I've seen, Soundwave has always felt like the most capable of the big three, whether it was Starscream, Megatron, Soundwave. And it's always been my opinion that if Soundwave was running the show, the war would already be over, which is why they have to give it to Megatron or Starscream. But I'm biased.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, my pleasure.
What other characters did you audition for War for Cybertron?
Pretty much all of them. I read on Optimus Prime, on Megatron. In fact, the reason I got Ultra Magnus was because of the way that I read Optimus Prime. So the person that they picked sounded a little bit younger than me, and they specifically came to me and said, hey, we loved your Optimus. We want you to play Ultra Magnus because he's supposed to kind of be the big brother mentor to Optimus in the show early on. And we need somebody that's going to have the gravitas of a Prime without actually being Prime and still sound older. That's pretty much why they were like, we're going to slot you in here, which I thought was really cool. And it was another reason I was hyped to play Magnus, because it's often Prime when you see him portrayed, unless he's like in animated where he's like younger. Normally he's the one that's already in control. He's running the show. To have somebody who's like a mentor to him was a really cool idea. And I liked that it was Magnus and that I got to do it.
Very cool. Other questions? Another one back here?
Yeah.
Do you have can you say your favorite quote from the Hasbin Hotel pilot as Alastor saying it?
There's so many good ones though. So there's the scene where he's talking to Angel Dust, and he asks, what can you do, my effeminate fellow? And he goes, I can suck your dick. Ha! No. That always amuses me. So it's a deal then, was a good one. And then why I haven't been that entertained since the stock market crash of 1929. So many orphans. That's a Great Depression joke.
Yeah, and gave me chills.
Yeah.
All right, we have another question over here.
Yes.
You said you liked Lucifer, correct?
I do.
Can I give you something?
Sure. Is it a duck? Yeah. Yeah, you can bring me a duck. I said I'd like to play him, but I'm still biased towards Alastor, so he's still the second best dad in hell. And Alastor still is raising his daughter, basically. Take that, depression. There we go. Oh, yeah, okay, the line that isn't mine you laughed at. How could you? No, that's fine.
So I did overhear at your table, because
Yes.
I'm a spy, that you grew up on Beast Wars, and it's kind of your
I did.
favorite.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks so much. Which Beast Wars character would you like to play, and how would you play them?
There's a couple of ones that I really like. So Cheetor was always a fun one because I always liked the boisterous energy, and I know he was like the Bumblebee of Beast Wars. Megatron was, I couldn't do it. Like David Kaye was perfect. Everything he did was amazing. And we talked about how I think he's even better in Beast Machines, even though we don't acknowledge that that exists. But when he's on screen,
Beast what? Machine?
Yeah, don't worry about it. But Dinobot is another one that I also really liked in that show. And if I had to pick somebody to try to imitate and portray, I think Dinobot's arc of, kind of the anti-hero of that show is really interesting. And so he would probably be the one that I pick because I like the way that he comes full circle.
Can you do Dinobot?
I could probably do Dinobot.
Very good. Scott McNeil's going to hunt you down now.
Yeah, I've met him, and I would never. He would kick me in places that I don't want to be kicked.
All right, other questions before I start going more on Transformer tangents?
Uh-oh. Nobody?
Oh,
here's one. Oh, no. Okay.
That one's like, go for the Transformers.
Hello. So have they started doing anything for season 3 of Helluva Boss yet, and have you done any line reads yet?
That's a great question. I wish I could answer it. I'm sure there will be plenty of Hasbin and Helluva content for you guys. That's all I'll say.
All right.
I saw the red dot from the laser scope.
Right? That's why I was like,
and then it blinked out as soon as you made a good answer. Okay. Other question. All right.
all the way in the back. Yep. This is how it works. You come to the front, you go to the back. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out.
So
Hello.
you play Ed in Street Fighter.
I do.
So did Capcom approach you on it? Did you audition for them? I'm just wondering, how did that go?
I auditioned for them like I auditioned for pretty much everything, and Capcom's been good to me. Like I've gotten to work on Street Fighter. I'm in the new Monster Hunter. I did the Dead Rising remake. So I've worked with Capcom plenty, but I've auditioned every single time, and they've just been like, hey, we like what you did. And I've auditioned for Street Fighter before. Like there were characters that came out before Ed that I had read on, and Ed was just the one that they liked me on. And honestly, if I could pick anybody in the Street Fighter universe that I'm like, oh, I think I fit that, it's the dude who looks like Eminem with the cool rap song who boxes. I went out and bought boxing gloves and a hoodie specifically because I'm like, Ed is awesome. I like boxing. This is cool. And so I started boxing. Like he's awesome. But I had to read on him. I was just very fortunate that they liked what I did. Also, I love that in 6, they let me say the line, I didn't hear no bell. It was like, oh, Rocky, let's go. Yeah. Hello.
She doesn't want to hear about
Third time's the charm,
Transformers.
yeah.
Yeah, this is basically just the big overarching one that I'm kind of curious about, which is if you could play any role, a canonical role, maybe in a movie, and maybe they decide they're going to make an animated series, what would that be?
And even if it's been done before?
Yeah, even if it's been done before.
Man, I got a hit list of stuff I'd love to do. Let's see, Bugs and Daffy from Looney Tunes would be on that list. Probably Batman would be on that list because there's been tons of good Batmans. The Joker's also on that list. Darkseid from the Superman franchise. Who else? That's a good top 5, right? That's 5. I mean, I've done I would love to be Optimus, duh, or Megatron, duh.
Joker is what I would have thought. That was my thought was Joker would be.
Joker is really good. The trick would be, how do I do it so that it's not just a Mark Hamill impression? Because you can't. Mark is the Joker, so you have to kind of take the John DiMaggio approach from Red Hood. How do you make it just completely different? And if you haven't seen Under the Red Hood, I highly recommend it because DiMaggio's Joker feels more like a mobster, and it is so good. Does not sound like Hamill. Awesome interpretation. Really cool stuff. Kevin Michael Richardson, also from Batman Begins, also a really good interpretation.
All right.
That's it?
No,
here's another one.
Okay.
All right. At least it's close.
Yes. All right. So, what is Stryker's tragic backstory that has not been revealed?
What's his tragic backstory?
You think he can actually say?
Well, number one, no, I can't say, even if I knew.
I mean, your version.
So if I had to figure out why he's so pissed, he would be the person who his whole life growing up was discriminated against because of who he is and what he is, because obviously imps are the bottom rung of hell. And I think it would be a lot of flashbacks to just him in school. He would get probably picked on. He was probably bullied. And so he has created this macho persona and become the best at what he does because he has had to prove himself since he was born. And I think it'd be way more interesting if he did that because everybody hated him and was against him. So you would understand his mentality of like, oh, I hate the top 1% because they've been the ones that have made it so hard to grow up. And I basically had my childhood stolen from me. So now I'm going to try to prove to you that I can be in the top 1%, even though I'm supposed to be on the bottom rung. And he's become the best assassin in all of hell for a reason. And he's got all these cool weapons, and I hope he gets to prove it by taking somebody powerful. I mean, he's the only person to really take down Stolas. Let's be real. The dude is super powerful. Not anymore, thanks to the court scene, which I took care of that nonsense. So he's down on a bottom rung now, and hopefully he stays there because nobody likes him.
Now, I did want to ask, I mean, obviously, Helluva Boss, more of an adult audience. Terminator Zero you were in. And, you know, again, that's more...
Very much an adult show.
Yeah, there's a lot of animation coming up that's targeted at the adult audience. How do you feel about that shift, and what do you think that's going to do to children's animation?
I think there's room for both, and I think you can strike an even balance between both, but I think adult animation is important because not everybody wants the kid story, and you might go see the story with your kids and enjoy aspects of it, but I think animation geared towards adults with adult humor is good. You can also have a show like Animaniacs where you can do both. You can have the adult humor that the adults go, I got that pun, but then the kids also enjoy. And then when you grow up, you go, oh, I didn't realize what half of what they were saying. Oh my God, how did they get away with that? So I think you can do a mix of both. You can have adult specific shows and then you can have the kid shows. But I think there's a market for it and it's important that it is expanded, which is why I love Helluva Boss and Hasbin. You could say curse words and we can be adults about it.
So which do you prefer working on, children's animation or more the adult-oriented?
I honestly don't. I just love being in animation. I don't have a preference. I just like a really, really good story that I can chew into as a performer. And if I get that in a kid show, awesome. If I get that in an adult show, awesome.
All right. Cool. I didn't make it a Transformer question. See that?
Yeah, it's good.
Are you proud?
It's coming, though.
You're mad, but everyone else is proud.
Yeah.
Any other questions out here? Do you want to ask a Transformer question? Now he's got
to think of one. You can ask a wrestling question too. You can ask a sports question. You can ask a food question.
Who's your favorite wrestler then?
Ever?
Yeah.
Bret Hart. Right now, CM Punk though. Yeah.
All right. What were your thoughts on John Cena in the Bumblebee movie?
Oh, I thought you were going to say on him turning heel. I don't care about him in the Bumblebee movie.
Okay.
It was probably the best live action Transformers movie in my opinion, but. Yeah, I don't care if he's in the movie or not. His heel turn was interesting, and I'm a little upset that he took CM Punk's main event spot at WrestleMania because I was going to go to Vegas, and then Elimination Chamber happened, and I'm like, I'm not going to WrestleMania. Great.
What is your favorite food, and do you cook?
I do cook. Favorite food? I have like a top 5 list, but steaks are on there, hot dogs are up there. Deep dish pizza is definitely up there. Of course it's Chicago deep dish. That's where deep dish was invented. Also shout out to Chicago Tavern Style, which is the really thin crust. Italian beef is on that list. Pasta's on that list. I have a lot of favorite foods.
All right.
Which is why I'm trying not to eat candy because it's going to make me fat.
All right, we have a question.
He wants
over
to
here.
be the very best question that's ever asked.
Thoughts on Connecticut being the pizza capital of the world?
It's not.
It's on the sign.
You can put whatever you want on a bumper sticker or a sign. Ain't nobody coming to Connecticut for pizza. I'm sorry, dude. New York's up the street. Chicago's a quick flight away. I'm sorry, dude.
Okay.
Connecticut's probably got some great. I'm going to try some of the pizza in the convention center at some point because they're ordering it for us. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You are not the pizza capital. Also, have you been to Italy? Have you tried their pizza?
With the pizza capital of the world, well, what can I say?
My dad owns a pizzeria in Baltimore, and he was trained in Italy. I can promise you, no. I'm a pizza snob, so if you could change my mind, tell me where to go. I'm open to it. Where do I go? Where's the pizza spot in Connecticut? Pepe's? Do they have a place in the? Do they? I have to see. If they order Pepe's, I'll let y'all know.
Okay.
I'll try it. Bet. You come from New York to have Pepe's? All right. That's high praise. We'll see.
Wow.
I love Neapolitan pizza. It's so good. It's very different than what we're used to, but it is so good. It's almost like gourmet pizza, if you can imagine that.
Well, you can like the New York side, you can like the Chicago side. There's all kinds of different pizzas, so it's all good.
Nice.
I'm the one who brought up food. I am so sorry.
Yeah. How many of you guys like pepperoni? Yeah? Would it blow your mind to know that pepperoni isn't Italian? Supersada, check that out. That's Italian. Pepperoni was actually American, which I didn't know. Blew my mind. It's like burritos being American. It's like, what?
What's your least favorite pizza?
Least favorite? Papa John's is really bad. That was in my brain. Probably Papa John's or Pizza Hut is like the one that I don't. Or there's a couple of frozen pizzas that are really bad too. But yeah, that would probably Papa John's. I'm sorry.
Also, does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Thank you.
I mean, with all due respect, you're all adults. You can put whatever you want on your pizza, and you're allowed to enjoy it. I'm just going to judge you for it. Just like ketchup doesn't belong on hot dogs.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
We're not doing this debate. I've seen how this wormhole goes. We don't have time. We just don't. Yeah, we definitely don't have time.
All right, another question back here.
Okay. Something to bring me? That's not a question. That's a statement.
May I bring you something?
May I bring you? Is this a duck? Of course it's a flippin' duck. All right. It's kind of blue. It's like an aqua. Deal?
Teal.
All right.
Teal.
Oh, teal. I thought you said I respected the deal with it. Deal. I'm sorry.
All right. Now we are starting to degenerate into a duck trading session.
It's true. Here we go. Trade ducks.
That's cool. So, Ed.
It's a duck hunt. Be careful how you say those words, by the way, because otherwise it'll sound like something else.
So, Ed, earlier you mentioned how War for Cybertron you were alone in the booth. What's an example of you being with a cast recording?
The Marvel project that I mentioned, Where Monsters Dwell, I got to be in the room with Liam O'Brien and Fred Tatasciore and a bunch of other really talented actors, and we recorded all those scenes together, and it is such a different vibe because you'll hear this from pretty much every acting teacher. Acting is reacting, and when you have a performance to react off of in real time, it will force you to do reads that you wouldn't have thought of because you're just in the moment. And I will always prefer recording with other people than recording by myself. Even if they can just play me the lines of what somebody else has recorded, having that thing to bounce off of will always help you in the booth. So I love being able to record with other people.
Does that happen often anymore in your work?
No, primarily only in prelay. And even when we're doing prelay like Transformers, sometimes they just can't get the schedules to work. So it's cheaper just to bring everybody in by themselves. But in the rare chance that you get the opportunity to, it's always more fun to record with a group. It'd be like trying to do a play by yourself. Like, it's not going to be the same.
How often do you get to improvise, and what is your favorite improvised line?
You guys have watched the pilot of Hasbin, right? So that jambalaya line at the end, complete improv. Basically what happened is Viv, when we got to the very end of the script, said, hey, we're going to be panning out from the hotel. Could you just say something as we're like fading out and zoom up into the sign? And I said, yeah, sure. And that jambalaya line came out of my mouth. So that's probably one of the most famous improvs that I have. But it happens infrequently in most stuff, but with Viv, and that's one of the reasons I love prelay, if you have a funny line that you want to throw out, you can do that pretty much whenever you want. And they might use it, they might not. And there's outtakes of me as Stryker where I was like humming his theme song, like because there's like the whole montage where they're on the train and he's on the horse and they're going through the caves. And I had outtakes of me like humming different parts of that song and like being like, oh, this ain't too bad. Yeah, all right, nice. It didn't make it in, but we had the flexibility to do a whole take where I just kind of messed around and had fun. So I appreciate the freedom, but you don't get that all the time. Writers like the words that they put in your mouth for a reason, and you don't always want to just do whatever you want because they spend a lot of time on those scripts.
I totally understand.
Yep.
And
also, animation is expensive, so you can't just ramble.
That's a
You
shame.
have to leave early. I'll allow it. It's okay. Nah, no problem.
If you could change any like backstory or part of like any show, what would you change and from what show or movie?
If I could change the background of any show. Okay, this one's personal. I would change everything about the live action Halo. Because as soon as they took Master Chief's helmet off, and as soon as that actor went out online and was like, so this is the reason we took the helmet off, because, you know, we have to be able to portray the character and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, so you clearly haven't seen The Mandalorian. And you clearly haven't seen how amazing all those actors are with their helmets on. And you're telling me you can't do that? Like, it's okay if you're not that good, but it's definitely doable. It was such a frustrating experience to watch any part of that show and watch how they just didn't seem to care about the games and that they almost actively tried to stay away from all the canon stuff that we know. They could have not, and here's the other thing, they could have not only kept the helmet on, they could have had Steve Downes do voiceover for it so it sounded like Master Chief. Like, they had such an opportunity with the character to bring in the actor. Jen Taylor did Cortana in that. They could have had Jen and Steve do all their stuff. And they chose not to because they wanted Master Chief to be hot. Master Chief is not hot. He is a child who was operated on as a kid and turned into a super soldier. He has scars all over. No, he's not sexy in that regard, physically, facially, unless they fix it. But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that show. But that's one that I would fix, is I would just be like, no, don't take the helmet off. Don't change the character. Please don't. Just keep that. It wouldn't change the backstory. Just be truthful to the backstory that has already been created.
All right. Guess I didn't get to break out my question.
Dropping pipe bombs up here. This can't go on the internet.
Okay, this one's basically just, I know that you've done a little bit of music stuff, like as Alastor and also as other characters, and I was wondering if you are familiar at all with like the grander world of musical theater, and if so, are there any roles that you would be interested in or that sort of thing?
I was never super into musicals. Most of my friends are, and obviously Viv is super into musicals. My two musicals that I was like a big fan of, I like Hamilton because I'm a big rap fan. So Hamilton was an easy entry for me. And then Avenue Q because it was, again, adult musical. It was very raunchy and it was funny. And I liked it and it was edgy. I recently got a chance to see Hadestown, which I had never heard of. And then when I saw it in LA, I was like, oh, this is cool. You don't see a lot of bass or baritone parts being main characters in musicals. It's a lot of tenor and lady parts that I wouldn't be able to sing. So that was cool. So Hadestown, if I had to pick a musical where I could perform, he's more in my range. I'm not a bass, I'm more of a baritone, but I would love to take a crack at that particular role in a musical. I also don't think I'm a very good singer. I'm still learning, I'm still trying to get better, but I do love singing. Karaoke is a great thing.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
I knew that was coming. Lose Yourself by Eminem, because I can rap, but I cannot sing. But if I do have to sing, one of my go-tos, and I try not to break it out often, Hurt by Johnny Cash, which is just such a good song, but it is a mood killer and it will destroy karaoke. So you either have to close with that or you have to put it in the middle right before somebody does like Journey or Queen, so you could all sing together and get the bad taste out of your mouth. But those are my two go-tos. Also, Forgot About Dre's a good one. What are some of my other... any Billy Joel song is a go-to. Not Learning to Fly. What's the other one by Tom Petty? Shoot. Won't Back Down.
All good choices.
Yeah.
All right. We will compare other karaoke songs later. All right. I'm not seeing hands up. So you
got to throw a question at me now.
You've done matching flaps with anime. Mm-hmm. You've done video games. You've done the standard animation where they animate to you.
Yep.
What are the best parts and the worst parts of each of those?
The best parts is, again, like I said, being able to create a character that has a really compelling arc so you can kind of grow in the role. Anime is probably the hardest thing to do just from a technical standpoint because the animation's already done. you really can't, you're not ad-libbing or changing anything. You're not really have that creative freedom because the lip flaps are very specific and the words have to fit the mouth. So that it can sometimes take some of that fun out of it because it is so technical, but there's also some of the best stories that I've been a part of have been in anime because they're also amazing stories in their own right. I don't watch a lot of anime, but a story like Cowboy Bebop that I grew up on, or Wolf's Rain was a little bit, a backstory I would change some stuff about Wolf's Rain because it gets confusing in the middle, but the start and the finish are solid. Or Outlaw Star. I grew up on Digimon, which was a great show, and that's kind of more of a kid's anime. All of that stuff has really good stories. It's just the technical aspect of it makes it a little bit more challenging because you have to bring the same character to life that you would in animation, but the timing is so specific. And so sometimes when you're like, man, that's such an anime reader. That sounds so weird. It's like, well, there's probably a lot of things that went wrong in the creation of that. Like maybe the script was a little off, and sometimes you'll get the Shatner speak where you take the weird pause because that's where the animation happens to stop. So yeah, I think good anime is always really impressive because I understand the technical side that goes into it. So it's always really impressive when you hear really good performances in anime because of all of those constraints. If they're able to overcome that and still bring a believable performance, that's a really cool challenge.
And video games?
Video games are, for the most part, great. There are some times where you have to match timing, but it's normally not lip flap. Sometimes it is. Like in Yakuza, we sometimes had to do that. It's sometimes with certain attack sounds in like Street Fighter, we have to be a certain like the Japanese has this much time. You have to match that because the attack's already been animated. You can't really go over that. But I love video games because for the most part, it's like animation where you can have a little bit of flexibility in ad-libbing or adding in some pre and post life, like whether it's a sigh or a laugh or something like that, because it's not animated yet or because it's not going to be animated and it's just talking heads. So I love video games because they feel like movies and they're just, man, are they fun to be a part of. Like Monster Hunter is such a cool franchise to be a part of because there's story elements to it. There's the whole monster stuff. It's just, there's so much to like about it. I really like video games. I'm also a huge gamer. So that helps too. So when they're like, hey, this is where it's going to go in the game. I'm like, oh, so kind of like this. You understand. You've played it. You know how it should sound. It helps.
But do you enjoy the sessions where like, okay, this is medium hit, grunt, high, large hit, grunt, light hit, grunt. You have to do a lot of different sounds. How do you enjoy those sessions?
Those are some of the throat rippers, but I love doing attack sounds. Like it's fun for me, and thankfully my voice is built for it. So everybody's voice is different. Some people can scream for 4 hours. You wouldn't even be able to tell. Some people are like, I can only do the 2, and I'll give you what I got, but I got 2 in me. But I love doing attack sounds. I like fighting games. I like doing the he, ha, yeah, and all that stuff. But they will sometimes ask you for 5 to 6 attacks at each level, whether it's small, medium, large, or however they've decided to parse it out. There can be a lot. So you just got to pace yourself and take care of yourself and drink lots of water and tea and Hulk juice.
Hulk juice?
Yeah, it's a herbal remedy. Let me find the actual. I think it's Nim Jam Pai Pepacoa is the actual name of it. It's called Hulk juice because Fred Tatasciore would use it when he was doing the Hulk. It's like almost like cough syrup. It tastes a little bit like cough syrup, but it coats your throat to kind of protect you when you're screaming. So that's stuff that I will use to make sure that I'm healthy and able to make it through all those sessions.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Oh, snap.
All right, we only have one volunteer. If there was more than one, I would have taken bids, but
That's all right. I got time.
Well, now we're talking a bit about your process. Have you ever had to do a voice where it pushed you to the limit of where your vocal cords could go?
100%. I had to do Gargos in Killer Instinct. And he was about as deep as I could go and as growly as I could go. And we had to do attack sounds in that. And that was one of the ones where I learned like, oh, okay, I can probably do this, but I need to take like the next day off to be safe. So yeah, I would say probably Gargos is close to like, oh, okay, we got to be careful with how much we do this.
Very cool. Well, Ed, thank you for spending the time with us.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Big round of applause. Visit him at his table.
Yeah.
Bring him more ducks.
Yeah, come see me at my table. I'll be here till about 4 o'clock, and then I should also be in the gaming room. They asked me to come check out the Guilty Gear and Street Fighter stuff. So I might say hi to the folks in there. So yeah, thank you guys.
Very cool. One more round of applause.
Thank you guys.
This is All for One. You are watching Fandom Spotlight. Continue to do so and follow your fandom, or I will obliterate everything you protected.